welcome to Telling the Tale, the podcast where we're going to cover each and every one of Telltale's many episodic video games in the narrative adventure genre. Today we're going to be working on The Walking Dead Season 1, Episode 3, Long Road Ahead, released on August 28, 2012, directed by Eric Parsons, written by Sean Vanneman, and designed by Pink and Rodkin. My name is your host. That's not part of the name, but you can if you want. Your host, Mitchell Farley Wolf. I'm the video game guy, and I'm here with other host, Dustin Jackson, the cartoon guy. Hey, Dustin, how's it going?
Choo-choo, all aboard the podcast train.
This episode of the game has a train in it.
This one's about trains.
How was your week, Dustin?
It's been good, pretty uneventful, but good. I wish I had more to talk about this week, but, sometimes you just have those. Sometimes you just have weeks where nothing happens, but it's still going pretty well. Mitch, what about your week, though?
I feel like it's similar. We're recording this during a 3D where the D stands for day, weekend.
Ooh, it's coming right out at you.
Yeah, just right there in front of you. And I'm excited to have some time off to record a podcast with my good buddy.
Yeah, I love not having work so I can work.
Yeah, that's true, isn't it? I was thinking about how much time we put into this podcast per week, and it's like a full day of work, at least for me.
If you enjoy it, it never feels like work.
It's so untrue. It's just not... I think that's what we ran into with the earlier episodes, like going into Back to the Future, just like, yeah, I mean, I do like point-and-click adventures, but it is absolutely not true that if you enjoy it, it doesn't feel like work. It'll just feel like work for sure.
Yeah, because as much as I love point-and-click adventure games, I don't play them every week.
Yeah.
Before this podcast. I guess now I can't say that. Now I do play them every week. Do you think I'm going to be able to function not playing one of these a week when we're done?
I don't think we'll ever finish.
I don't remember what life's like on the outside.
Yeah, dude, I don't think we'll ever finish.
They just keep adding more to the pile.
That is a concern. Yeah, so we should talk about the Wolf Among Us 2 trailer that dropped. Did we talk about that on the podcast yet?
I don't think we did, didn't it? I think it dropped after we recorded last week's.
I don't think that's true. I think we just forgot last week. I feel like if we're the Telltale podcast, which I believe we are, the idea that we're not covering news as it comes out, like, this is a pretty big time period for Telltale, maybe the biggest since they went under. I feel like we're doing our audience a disservice. They're coming for us for Telltale information, and we're just saying, like, hey, Walking Dead's good. Did you know that? I guess you did.
Mitch, I gotta be honest. I think the people coming to this podcast are listening because they're our friends.
Yeah, but okay, yes, true.
They're not coming for us for the lowdown.
Are personal friends of ours who are doing us a solid. But
thank you.
Thanks for continuing to do that. But also, we have to make the podcast with the assumption that that's not true.
Yeah. No, I agree. I'm right there with you.
One day it'll become untrue.
Yeah, civilizations hundreds of years in the future will be like, what? What is Telltale? And also, I am seeing the numbers on downloads and stuff. It isn't true. We're like, our personal friends could only really amount to like maybe. It's a higher percentage than you'd want it to be, but it's not the majority at all. Yeah, like
a fifth.
Like, not even all of our closest friends listen to this. Like 5 or 6 of them.
Well, in that case, probably like 10%.
Yeah, that's not bad. That's better than I expected.
Yeah, I'd love for this to become one of those profitable podcasts, but I don't think we have a long-term plan to get there.
Maybe someday. We got to start getting some sponsors.
Yeah. Who do you think we should go to for that?
MeUndies. Like every other podcast out there.
I have an idea. Maybe Telltale.
Yeah, I mean, why not?
They stand to gain a lot from this podcast, actually. Maybe they should just pay us for covering The Wolf Among Us. That's why we haven't covered The Wolf Among Us 2 trailer.
Yeah, still waiting on that check.
Yeah. As soon as they pay us. Like, it's not even...
Must
It's
have
just
got
a
lost in the
technicality.
mail.
Just as soon as... I'm sure that it's already in the mail. As soon as I receive the check, we'll talk about it on this show.
Exactly.
So I guess we won't? So I guess we won't talk about it?
I guess we'll just never get to it.
That doesn't sound right either. I don't
No,
know.
I mean, we can discuss it a little bit. We got a trailer for The Wolf Among Us 2.
Yeah.
I gotta be honest, Mitch, I did not watch it.
Oh, well then, okay, then yeah, we won't.
Well, it's only because I haven't even played The Wolf Among Us 1 yet. I feel like I'll be more excited once we get that one out of the way.
Oh, so you purposefully didn't watch it?
Yeah, I didn't just like space on it. I told myself, look, we're gonna be getting to The Wolf Among Us pretty soon. I feel like once I play that, I will have the excitement for the new one. Hopefully,
Sure.
anyway.
I think there were probably some plot points that if we had played the first series yet, we would be excited about or anxious about or feel some way about. But right now, I just like, oh, it looks, like a Telltale scenario. Still, though, I think the two big things that you take away from the trailer are its graphical components, which are...
Does it look good?
It looks excellent if it's an
Nice.
engine. I can't tell. Maybe that's the thing. Like in this one, it's going to look so good you can't even tell what's an engine and what's not an engine. But yeah, it looks really good.
That's good. Even the first one I thought looked super nice.
It looks like the culmination of what they're going for with graphic black.
Oh, you know what? I could see it working really well for something like that.
Yeah.
That contrasts a little more with the colors.
Yeah, because previously what we said is that like it was the culmination of graphic black in Batman Shadows, like the Shadows edition of Batman. But this really looks like from the ground up, just an amazing looking cartoon of a game. And also the other information is that it's 2023.
Awesome. That gives us a little time before we get to it.
Yeah. So I guess the return of Telltale is going to be The Expanse and The Wolf Among Us 2. I don't know if we got a time period for The Expanse, did we?
I don't think so.
Should I look that up right now? If as long as let's just do the Telltale news podcast. Screw it.
Yeah. Who cares?
The Expanse, Telltale. Did they give us a year, and was it 2023? I'm looking at their official website.
Everyone at home gets to wait in anticipation with me.
Yeah, I'm just gonna narrate everything. I'm looking at their official website, which has no information except the trailer, and I'm scrolling to the end of the trailer, and there was no there was no information. It looks like we don't have a release window for The Expanse.
Do you think it'll come out before or after Wolf Among Us 2?
So, yeah, that's the trick. So, The Expanse was announced during the 2021 Game Awards, and it was the first thing of anything that we saw since Telltale went under, but The Wolf Among Us 2 had been announced already. We just hadn't seen it.
Yeah.
But now we've seen them both. And The Wolf Among Us 2, considering that it was announced earlier, it was sort of like the purpose of what the studio being brought back is for.
Mm-hmm.
It looks a little further along. For all those reasons, I would assume it's first.
That's what I was thinking as well.
But The Expanse getting that trailer, the Game Awards, where it actually got some like world building stuff, whereas the only thing that we had received about Wolf Among Us 2 up to that point was just some like teaser stuff. That kind of convinced me Expanse was first.
Yeah, I guess it could go either way. They kind of have points in either one's favor. Yeah,
so I was looking to see if The Expanse ever said 2022 or 2023, if it had a release window prior to Wolf Among Us getting one, I would say Expanse is first, but because it didn't, I'm now thinking that they're both 2023, and The Wolf Among Us 2 is first.
Place your bets, everybody.
That's my guess. And in that way, I think we can... Let's see. This is our 43rd Telltale episode.
Wow.
Which means that we have 97 to go. There aren't that many weeks probably between now and The Wolf Among Us 2. So yeah, it'll be. I was just about to
ask if you think we would be done by then. I guess not.
No, I don't think the math shakes out for us to be done by then.
Well, I guess it depends on if we do another Jurassic Park or CSI thing where we have multiple episodes in one episode.
Well, if we with both
even
of
then,
those,
I feel like that would narrow it down a little
bit.
Yeah, I guess that's true. But remember when we played Jurassic Park, Mitch?
Yeah, remember when we played CSI?
Oh God, it's coming up.
The memories, they're good. What do you think of this episode of The Walking Dead, though?
Boy, what a roller coaster this episode is. So much happens in this episode.
This episode was a lot more like what I thought it was going to be going in.
Okay.
Because
do you mean that in a good or a bad way?
Neither really. But last week with the dairy, that felt like such an episodic beginning, middle, and end story. That was it. Very self-contained. It was like, hey, there's this thing with a dairy. Obviously, you've got the long-term arguments between Kenny and Lily cropping up, and that's going to be more long way. All the Clementine stuff is going to be long-term. But for the most part, this is a story about the St. John's and your reaction to them. And that begins and ends here.
Yeah.
And I kind of liked that. That felt very Sam and Maxy to me. That but it was done in a way that Sam and Max would never do. Like really getting into some thematic ideas that are not played for laughs at all. I was excited about that. This is a little less that, and for that reason, I think I liked it less. That said, still very strong, still very good. Not like a lot less. I just think of the 3 episodes we played, this is probably my least favorite one, but just the previous 2 we did were really, really good.
I feel ya. My first instinct was to say I thought this one might have been my favorite.
Oh, okay.
I don't know, though. I just feel like every episode of this season is really good. It's hard for me to put, like, one over the other. I can definitely see what you're talking about, liking episode 2 more, because I feel like when I played episode 2 last week, I was thinking that one was my favorite. So, I guess it's just going to go back and forth throughout the season.
Yeah. Episode 1 might still be my favorite just because it's such a solid proof of concept for the series as a whole. Episode 2, I might have liked more. I'm going to be thinking about the St. John's more than any particular aspect of the rest of the game series going forward, I think. Like, they are going to be the intrusive mind worm that I don't want to think about anymore.
I don't want to think about them ever again.
Yeah, but I will. I will definitely.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like that might be a good way to do it, because you were saying before how you were kind of worried that this season would be kind of like Jurassic Park, where no one episode stands out. Like, it all kind of blends together into one story rather than like, oh, this is this episode. I feel like it's kind of a good way to do it, where you have like 1 or 2, I don't want to say filler episodes, but you get what I mean, right? Like,
are you saying the St. John's was a filler episode?
Yeah, like filler in quotes, because obviously it has things that tie into the story overall. But like you said, it was very self-contained. It was more its own thing rather than the overall narrative, I guess.
Yeah, I guess there's 2 kinds of filler. Right? Like, there's the filler where Goku gets his driver's license, where it's just a side story that begins and ends in one episode that won't affect anything else. And then there's the filler where it's like number 7 of 15 episodes where Goku's charging the thing to shoot Frieza, where it is part of the main story, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah, nothing happens. You can cut out like 4 of them.
Yeah, that's definitely the worst kind of filler. This episode you couldn't possibly consider filler, but it does kind of have the vibe of okay, we're between two important things episodes.
Yeah, a lot of important stuff happens in this episode. Like, shit really...
It's true.
I feel like this is the episode where the most shit hits the fan.
Yeah, I agree with you. Probably all of it is still dethroned by the moment you realize you're eating Mark's legs in the previous episode. But it does a really good job of competing with that, we'll say. We said last episode, and I did remember this, Dustin.
Mitch will remember that.
Yeah, do you remember what I'm remembering?
No. You didn't say what it was.
I know, but I wanted to know if you knew what I was going with this.
No.
Last episode, I summarized the plot in a minute.
Oh, right.
We found that it was impossible, so I'm giving you, because it's your turn, 90 seconds.
All right.
Should I time you? I'm looking at the clock on our world clock that we use to sync up our microphones.
Yeah, just tell me when to go.
Okay. Ready, set, go.
Things are getting tense at the Motor Inn. Lily's noticed that people are stealing from their supplies. Lee goes on a stakeout to find out who it is. He kind of goes around and pokes around a little. Duck decides to help out. Meanwhile, Carly tells you should tell people in the group that you're a convicted criminal. You can or cannot.
Carly or Doug, right?
Yeah, or Doug. Your group gets attacked by bandits, saying you didn't keep up your end of the bargain, and then you get away from the bandits. But in the scuffle, Duck gets bit by a walker. Oh no! So you're driving, and then they hit a walker. So Lily gets everyone out of the van. She's like, "Everyone out!" And then she shoots Carly or Doug right smack in the face. And then you can choose what to do with Lily. There, you find a train. And then you meet Chuck, and then you go on the train, and then you have to kill Duck in the head with a gun. And then Chuck tells you gotta get a plan with Clementine. And so you do that, and then you meet Omid and Krista, and then you go into a building, and you get a welding torch to cut something down, and then you leave on the train. How was that?
Well, you only used 70 seconds of the 90.
Oh, nice! I feel like I hit all the big ones.
I feel like you missed a couple.
I skimmed over some of them, but...
Yeah. For example, you meet Chuck doesn't really tell you anyone, like, who is Chuck? Like, what is...
It's just a brief summary, Mitch.
He's just a guy.
I can't get into the details.
That's true. Well, you had 20 seconds left. I don't know.
Chuck is an old man who lives on the train.
Yeah, Chuck was, previous to the zombie apocalypse, a homeless person who lived on the train, I suppose.
Yeah. He has like a box set up in the box car.
Right. That's why it's called a box car. It's for boxes.
Yeah, exactly.
And also Katya.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Katya shoots herself in her big head.
So a lot to unpack here, but generally, the argument that really came to a head last episode that nothing was done with was between Lily and Kenny. Kenny wanted to move out of the motel, and Lily wanted to stay here and hunker down for the winter. Because I think there's some idea that, like, during the winter, something better regarding the walkers might happen.
Yeah. I think the general idea was just, look, we found a place that works for now. It's better to stay with a place that works than find some place that might not.
Right.
And Kenny's like, winter's cold. We can't be here. We gotta leave.
Also, one of, I think, the stronger scenes in this episode was skipped over a little bit, Dustin, and I don't begrudge you for skipping this, because it's not really plot important. But at the very beginning, you and Kenny are going into town.
Oh, yes.
To raid the same pharmacy, your parents' pharmacy, for anything that might be left over.
Mm-hmm. But shit really went to hell after you left. The fucking helicopter crashed into the ceiling.
I don't know how the helicopter was brought down by zombies. That doesn't sound right.
They use zombie bullets.
Yeah, like, why did this helicopter crash? Like, that couldn't...
Walkers can't get you in the sky.
Yeah, like, what happened?
They don't have wings.
That just doesn't sound right. Like, maybe someone was dying in the helicopter, but, like, why?
Poor Decaf.
It was Decaf. It must have been Decaf.
That's strike 2. One more. He gets one more.
But you're about to, like, go into the pharmacy, but there's this girl that comes out who is definitely going to be eaten by zombies. And you have the choice of whether you want to shoot her or not. What did you do?
So, I did not.
By the way, not
her.
just to shoot her to do it, but like she's definitely going to be killed. And
she's already. You see her get bit, so you have to choose whether or not you want to take her out and put her out of her misery, or basically use her as bait to keep the walkers away from you.
Yeah.
I did not shoot her, but I felt bad about it. And they really, really make you feel bad. Because if you don't shoot and kill her, you hear her insane screams the entire time.
Oh, no. I did shoot her, and I did feel bad. I also felt bad.
I guess you're going to feel bad either way.
Yeah,
there's no winning that.
It's really just not a good situation in general.
Yeah, like, I wanted to put her out of her misery. That would have been the right thing to do, but, Kenny, I was already in the doghouse with Kenny, so, he wanted to leave her.
Yeah, so now I realize that this is a binary choice. Shoot her or don't shoot her. But what I was trying to do was shoot the zombies attacking her.
Oh, so you were trying to attack the walkers.
Yeah.
And then you shot her.
Yeah.
Whoops. That's so funny. I can just picture you being like, ooh, sorry.
Ooh.
I'll get the next one.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying with some of the choices in these games. Like, we've been over this a few times in the last few episodes. Some of these choices are really well thought out and like top-notch narrative choice design in video games. Very good stuff, very experimental stuff for the time, very influential stuff on other games in the future. But other times it's like I'm trying to do something and it's not like the thing.
No, that's not the choice you get.
Yeah. Like I was talking about it last time, I think, where what I wanted to do was hang that salt lick or whatever right over Larry's head, and like the second he does anything, it's going down. But like
that's not the way it played out. You
can't do the choices that you really want. You're like stuck between things that artificially feel binary, and
yeah. I mean, I get that. At the same time, I guess the game can't predict exactly what it gives you like a couple choices. It can't give you complete free will.
Right. Yeah, that's true. And of course it's true, but I think that you'd hope that there's a little bit more nuance to the situations that you're put in. So in a situation like where this girl's getting eaten by zombies, and I have a gun aimed at zombies, they should maybe take into account that I'm trying to aim for the zombies.
and not just immediately take her out.
Yeah. I mean, if I were to rank my three choices, my first choice would be kill the zombies, then kill the girl, then do nothing. That's the order I would do things in. So I guess I didn't get my last choice.
Yeah, the only reason I did not kill her was Kenny was already really pissy. And I was like, all right, you know what, Kenny, fine. I'll let you have this one. And he was still pissy afterwards. Kenny has a bad attitude.
Yeah, Kenny's been pissy even though I've been siding with him. Like,
yeah, like...
I've mostly been... Like, I agree we should leave the motel. We shouldn't be here.
Yeah, and like, I like Kenny. I want to be on Kenny's side. It sucks that he is so against you just from disagreeing with him that one time.
Yeah.
But I guess that was a big choice, and it kind of makes him look bad overall. Maybe they had some more disagreements in the time between episodes.
It seems like he's become a very disagreeable guy in general.
I guess I can see that, times like this, you might get a little irritable.
Yeah, both him and Lily are extreme type A personalities where they both kind of just assumed, oh, well, I should be in charge. Mm-hmm. And because you're the main character, Lee's kind of proving, no, I should be in charge, but I'll let you do your thing.
I'll let you think you should be in charge.
Yeah, I mean, the player is always going to think, and this is kind of a brilliant thing, the player is always going to think that Lee is the most correct person because Lee does whatever the player wants him to do. Mm-hmm. So there's no incorrect people here, or there's no incorrect option here that Lee has ever done. Lee is always in the best graces of the player, so the player's going to agree with him the most. So if Lee says that Kenny's cool, then the player...
Kenny must be cool.
He must be. The player decided that for themselves.
And my thing is, I don't dislike Kenny. I wanted to be on Kenny's side, but it feels like every choice I said, everything I said to him, he'd be like, yeah, well, fuck you. And I was like, I'm trying to be on your team here.
Yeah, like you say, I agree with you, Kenny. I think that we should get out of here. And then he's like, well, you should fucking speak up next time.
Yeah, I got that too. I was like, geez, just accept it. Take the agreement.
Yeah, and he was more mad at me because I chose to shoot this girl and take her out of her misery, which is, again, not what I wanted to do, but...
See, I feel like that is the right thing to do. If she's dead anyway, you don't want her to come back as a walker, and no one else is gonna do it. So I feel like that's probably the right move to do. But I didn't want to piss off Kenny more, and I guess it got us more medicine.
Yeah, to be fair, I think I might have missed the choreography there where she already got bit. To me, it just seemed like she was going to be overwhelmed. Mm-hmm. But maybe she wasn't completely bit yet. Like, if she
she straight up gets bit.
Okay, that's on me then for not noticing that. But
that's okay, Mitch. You'll get him next time.
I'll get him next time. I'll do the cool choice next time. Yeah. Well, no. If she's dead either way, then it's not. Actually, that kind of changes my mind about it. If she's dead either way, then she's gonna have a horrible time either way. So maybe I wouldn't shoot her. I think the main reason I was trying not to do exactly what I did was at this point in the story, Lee did not yet seem to me to be a person that would preemptively take someone out. Mm-hmm. That seems like a line you cross.
I feel that. I get that. I really like that. In playing this game, it feels like, especially in this playthrough rather than other playthroughs, I'm thinking more about what Lee would do rather than what I would do.
Yeah.
And like, sometimes, usually it lines up, I'll try to be a cool guy. But like in the last episode where you kill Larry with the salt lick, I used to always side with Kenny. I used to always be like, I want to be in good graces with Kenny. Lily
really?
is kind of a dick. Yeah, I used to always kill Larry. But then this one playthrough, I was like, you know what? I don't think Lee would be on Kenny's side on this time.
That's so interesting, because I don't think I would ever side with Kenny on that. In my mind, I don't think this is a difference between me or Lee thinking. In general, I think, well, in the last episode, we saw that if we killed Duck early, that would have been way too early. This seems like the same thing.
Yeah, well, here's the thing, Mitch. After playing this episode...
Yeah.
I think you can see why I decided to side with Kenny in the last few playthroughs.
Yeah. We'll get to it. But they give you a day. They give you a day at the motel, like a normal day. Because, I think they know you'll need it. And this is your last normal day at the motel.
Yeah, we say goodbye.
Yeah, you have a moment with everyone. You have like a family moment with Kenny and Katya. You have like a youth training moment with Duck. You have a you have an investigation moment with like, ooh, someone's taking the rations. This is a normal day. Let's find out who. You have a
This
flirty
is a normal day.
If you've been saving Carly and you've been like good with Carly, you have sort of a flirty moment where it seems like, oh, this might go somewhere. Spoilers, it absolutely does not.
It goes somewhere. Where it goes is the worst possible direction it could have gone.
Yeah, you have a nice like looking at Clementine draw something moment where she really feels more like your daughter than ever before.
This has probably my favorite Clementine scene. I don't know if you got it, because I guess you can skip it and miss it entirely. So you're trying to find out who is stealing the rations, and so you're kind of going around looking for clues. Lily gives you a broken flashlight.
Mm-hmm.
Did you show Clementine the broken flashlight and ask her about it?
I don't recall. Remind me what happens.
So she says, no, I didn't break it. And you ask, did Duck break the flashlight? Oh, no, she says, did Duck say I did? And he says, no, why? And Clementine says, he's just always blaming me for stuff. Lee says, like what? Clementine says, putting a bug on his pillow. And Lee says, did you do that? And she goes, yes.
That's
with
great.
with a mischievous grin on her face.
Yeah.
She's like, yeah, I did that.
You get the feeling that if this episode went differently, maybe Duck and Clementine would have grown up and, you know, had kids and been these like long-term best friends. And no,
not so much.
Yeah, it didn't.
They really make the most out of Duck in this episode for, I guess, for pretty obvious reasons.
Yeah, I was a little disappointed with myself for not foreseeing. I got 4 deaths in this episode.
Wow.
4 people died. And
yeah,
I just didn't foresee any of them doing that.
Wait, 4 people died in this episode.
Well, we'll get to them one by one.
Yeah. Okay. But you can tell even just outside of Kenny and Lily, it feels like it's kind of coming to a head with other people too. You kind of see Carly kind of looking a little irritated with Lily, which again kind of it comes up again later. And Katja and Kenny are kind of having some issues too. Katja asks you to tell her what exactly happened at the in the meat locker at the dairy.
Oh, right.
And
yeah.
you can choose whether or not you want to tell her.
I did.
And yeah, I did too. And you can just tell and even before that, she's saying like, I don't like that we all carry guns now. And she's just had it with all this shit. And then she's just upset about all this stuff with Kenny. She's just like, oh, everything's changing. This sucks.
Yeah. To me, that kind of feels like a little bit. I would be frustrated if I were actually talking to this person in this situation. Like, you're mad about us having guns? Do you know about what's going on? Like, I agree that it sucks, but like, you can't be complaining as if we are going to change it. We have to.
Well, no, I think that was the point, because she says she doesn't like that we all carry guns, and then Lee says, yeah, it sucks. He says exactly that. He says, yeah, you know, it's probably good they make you feel uncomfortable. It sucks that we're doing this, but, you know, we kind of got to. And she's like, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of using the gun as a metaphor for diving deeper into the apocalypse in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
It comes up at least 3 times. This is one of them where it's someone just saying like, hey, I just don't know if I'm okay with this. And Lee's like, well, yeah, none of us are. Like, we're all pretty upset about this, but like we have to. What are you talking about? Mm-hmm. And then it gets worse from here. But after a bunch of exploration, you do find out that someone's been stealing rations and giving them to someone else. And the bandits show up saying, hey, we want more rations. We want more stuff.
Yeah, you find out. Oh, before we get to the bandits, did you high-five Duck?
Absolutely, I high-five Duck.
Yeah, you can't just let that slide.
You've played through this, how many times? Have you ever not high-five Duck?
I think I did it like once just to see what happens, and then I reset and made sure to go back and do it.
What happens?
He's just disappointed. He's like, oh.
Yeah, that's worse than dying.
Yeah.
That's worse than anything.
He died happy in this episode.
Well, probably not. He probably forgot.
That was his last thought. He said, "Remember when we high-fived? That was pretty cool."
It's so clever. Like, he says, go to the gate. Now you need to check out what's behind the gate. And, like, the gate's right there. And if you just turn left a little bit, you see his hand still raised in the air. It's just enough out of the way to make it like, okay, I'll do this. Mm-hmm. Because you're so set on doing the next thing, exploring the next place. And the hand's just out of the way. You have to make a conscious effort to spend the energy doing it.
Yeah, you can't leave him hanging.
So...
Oh, one more thing before we move on to the bandits.
Okay.
Carly says you should tell people about your past. Did you tell everyone? Or did you tell anyone?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did too.
I told everyone, and I told certain people, like, I was going to jail. I was a felon. And then I told some people, like, hey, no, I straight up was a murderer. And I think it was mostly... Oh, you know what? I don't think I told Duck. I don't think you can tell Duck because he's wrapped up in the mystery. I don't think you can talk to him outside of like the story stuff. Yeah, I just realized that. But yeah,
you know what's weird?
Clementine, and I think when I told Clementine, I was like, I was being arrested. I did something bad, and she was. It eventually in the conversation it went to like, it was murder. But I didn't initially start out saying it was a murder.
Heads up, it was murder. I know what you're thinking.
Let's just get ahead of it.
It's weird with Kenny. I did both of these choices. And it's weird how if you tell him you're a murderer, if you tell him you're going to jail, he just says, this is going to count when we're making choices for he gets on the boat. But if you just straight up tell him you're a murderer, he follows that up with, but I appreciate the honesty. So it's weird that that's the better option with Kenny.
Yeah, it seems like in terms of whatever hidden stats the game is keeping track of to like measure how every character feels about you, it really doesn't matter if you say you're a murderer or if you say you're a felon.
Yeah, just in this one instance, it at least felt like he was a little more appreciative with that choice.
Yeah.
But I don't think it matters. It just matters if you tell him, as long as you're honest.
Yeah, I really liked the reaction that Kenny gave because he was clearly soured by it. He definitely didn't like it. And his question that he shot back at you was, is Duck safe around you? Which is, I think, of course Duck is safe around him. It's not like Duck is going to have sex with Lee's wife in the same way. Like Duck is never in danger of being killed by Lee until, something happens.
Well,
but like, that's a very fatherly question. Like, hey, I kind of don't care, but I have to ask, like, is my family safe around you?
Yeah. So is that the choice you made?
Yeah.
You told him you were a killer? Because I know the other choice, if you just tell him you were going to prison, he says, wasn't for touching kids, was it?
Oh, what?
And Lee's like, no, Jesus.
Oh, wait, did I get that? That sounds familiar.
I guess it's the same either way. I just thought it was interesting how
no, I don't think
one
I got
choice
that.
has him. Yeah, so that's if you just tell him you were on your way to prison. But if you tell him you were a killer, it's just interesting to me that being more straight up with Kenny has him appreciate it more. Or at least say he does. I don't know if it plays into how he feels about you any stronger.
Yeah, I think this kind of goes back to what we were talking about last episode with Kenny's surprise racism. Just thrown out in the middle like, hey, you're urban. Do you know how to pick locks? And Lee's like, well, I know what the hell that means. And I think there's this isn't part of racism, but I think it is part of Kenny's character archetype of being this southern person who's definitely like the stereotype they're going for with Lee is white trash adjacent.
Yeah.
You know how realistic of a person that is beyond the scope of this podcast, but they're definitely throwing in every once in a while, just like if you are adverse to that kind of person just being intolerant, they're just throwing in something a little bit every episode, just like one little thing of Kenny just doing that. And I think it's good because it shows you like, hey, I've spent months in universe with Kenny, and he's not hateful. He's just like, he's provably ignorant in certain regards.
Exactly.
And it is problematic. It is not good, but like you can choose to, like, how you deal with that is reflective of how you deal with people you don't like in general in difficult situations where you have to work together.
Mm-hmm.
And I think whenever one of those things comes up, I do cringe a little bit, like, oh man, I wish, Kenny, why'd you say that? That was bad. But I get what they're going for with it. I think it's very clever. I can't say it's enjoyable. I like, I kind of hate it when it happens, but it makes sense. I see what they're going for if they're going for that, unless they're just sort of making fun of the stereotype, which I think is possible, but is the less generous way to read that.
Yeah, agreed. I think it does a good job of making Kenny feel a little more three-dimensional. It's like, I wanted to be on Kenny's side in this game, but, you know, he's not a perfect person.
Yeah. Like, he's got antiquated race beliefs and everything like that, that do come out, and you do understand that he has them. But he'll never go against Lee for that. Like, he'll never actually do anything with it. Which doesn't make it okay at all.
No.
But it does prove that it's, like, not on his forefront. It's just like he's got this psyche that's been loaded up with things that are reflective of worse people that he has probably experienced a lot of growing up. And I think a lot of white people in America can probably relate to that in some way. Like, hey, you know, I'm trying my best, but like, I also, every time I do something that I realize is like, oh, I wasn't even thinking about that, and that was terrible. You might have like a flash memory of someone that you thought of as like a role model adult type doing something similar to that when you were growing up. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I'm talking about, or is that too insular of a... Is that just me? Do I only have that, or do you know what I'm talking about?
I kind of get where you're coming from. That's one thing I liked about the last episode is when Kenny accidentally does a racism, he does apologize for it right after. That doesn't make it okay, but you can tell like he's not trying to be malicious.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bad apology. He just blames it on his upbringing. We've already talked about it.
He blames it on Florida.
Yeah, he blames it on the state of Florida, which like is not generally thought of as the most racist state. It's like just a sort of racist state. It's like there's worse states, Kenny. I don't know.
Yeah, pick a better one.
It doesn't seem like a great excuse, Kenny, but So yeah, you go around, you tell everyone, and I think as soon as you tell Lily, hey, I found some evidence, the ambush from the bandits is triggered.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I don't really have a lot to say about this. To me, this is...
Me neither.
Like,
I mean, it's just kind of
the episode, actually.
Yeah, it's just kind of an action sequence. You know, there's the bandits, you try to negotiate with them, then walkers start attacking. So you got to get everyone in the van and get on out of there. Yeah. It's very tense. It's very tense when you're playing it. You're like, oh, this shit could go south like any second. Who knows what'll happen? But then once you're out of there, you're kind of like, oh, well, that wasn't, you know, that wasn't the highlight of the episode.
I found it very technically difficult to do.
You know, that's funny. I've been telling you about how my roommates have been playing this. Andrew had a hell of a time with this segment trying to shoot those bandits. I think he got like 4 game overs. So
on an Xbox One controller, and this is one of the moments where I really wished I was on mouse and keyboard. You aim with right stick and shoot with the A button? That's the same thumb, man. What are you talking about?
I only got the one thumb.
Yeah. Did you find that frustrating?
I
found
didn't
that
have a problem.
Extraordinarily frustrating.
It's funny because I didn't have a problem with it, and neither did my other roommate, Adam. We both just nailed it the first try. I mean, for me, it's just because, I played it before and I knew exactly what to do, but Adam just, plowed through it, no problem. And it was such a contrast to Andrew, who struggled to get past this part.
Well, I found out later that they tell you to shoot with A, but you can shoot with right trigger if you want.
Yeah.
But I died a few times before I figured that out. Because they don't tell you that. Right trigger should be the default thing you do, and A should be the optional one, because those are different fingers, and that's how games should work. You can't move the camera and press a face button at the same time. We've had, in 2012, we've had 30 years of game design leading to that moment.
It was all leading up to this.
We've now had 40, and I'm more frustrated by at least 10 years than I would have been if I played it at the time.
I'm more frustrated than ever.
Yeah, by 10 years.
Come on, Telltale. No wonder you went down.
But yeah, so you're shooting out with the bandits, and you basically kill all of them without them hurting you at all. But the shootout, it encourages the walkers to come in, and one of them bites Doug at this point.
Duck.
Yeah, there's a character named Duck and a character named Doug in this
Aren't
game.
Aren't you glad you picked Carly and you don't even have to worry about that?
Yeah.
That's why people save Carly. It's like Duck and Doug and can't have them together.
That's the
You're
main
out of
reason.
Here.
So have you ever saved Doug?
No, I've never once saved Doug, and I probably never will. Nothing personal, Doug.
I want to know if the romantic options that you have with Carly are there with Doug.
It's possible. He, honestly, in that first episode, he kind of comes across that way a little bit to me.
Yeah.
So I wonder, that'd be neat. You know what? It's hard to feel that bad for Doug, because after this, he did get to have a cameo in Poker Night 2.
Really?
Yeah. In the opening cutscene, when you're showing up at the club, you see him moving a TV, I think, into one of the other rooms. So he got work after.
Cool. I guess he's the canon person to save then.
Yeah. Well, I guess no, he wouldn't be, considering what happens.
Yeah. So you all get into the van, you drive for a while. Did you notice what Kenny is drinking while he's driving the van?
Yes, I did. I have it written in my notes. They have Benang in the cup holder.
Kenny's drinking some Benang.
That's like a whole new, maybe it's just the visual filter, but that looks like a new model for the Benang. It doesn't look like just carried over from Sam & Max. They went out of their way to make a new and improved Benang.
I mean, I think the bottle in Sam & Max is all sort of cartoon squashy, so it doesn't look like a regular realistic bottle, so maybe they had to, but
yeah, it just wouldn't fit in with the Walking Dead style.
It physically wouldn't fit in the cup holder.
But I do like that. It wouldn't fit in the cup holder. That's the only reason why.
They had to make a new model.
Shit, we tried everything. We just can't get this Benang bottle.
Benang. I mean, it's a
what
cylinder.
A nice little
it's not hard to make a new model of a cylinder.
Yeah, but I'm glad they did it.
Yeah, I'm really glad they did it. It fits it all together in the Benang universe.
Yeah, could you imagine if you went with the original title for this podcast? You said you were going to call it, you were thinking of calling it Benang or something, right?
I was thinking of calling it Benang : the podcast.
Imagine if you did, and then we stumble upon this.
That'd be so wonderful. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't really thinking about it. As soon as I thought of telling the tale, it's like, well, it has to be that, because that's...
I can't call it Benang. No one knows what that is.
Yeah. It's like a banana-based podcast. Like, what is this?
That would have been an awful choice, but I would have liked it.
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of bad ideas I know I can't use all the time. Calling a podcast Benang the podcast is definitely one of them.
Mitch, you'll be surprised to find out that 52.3% of players did name it the Benang podcast.
When I was working on a Pokemon podcast with Matt Corna and Jeff Onan that never got off the ground.
I know those people.
And we were going to call it Everybody Loves Rhydon.
I remember that.
And to this day, I'm still upset that we never officially called anything Everybody Loves Rhydon.
What a good name for a podcast.
Yeah. Oh, man. It's so good. And I think Matt like photoshopped that like promo image from Everybody Loves Raymond, but just put Rhydon in all the places where Raymond is.
That would have been so... I'm sorry you didn't get to use it.
Yeah, it would have been great.
Maybe next time.
So Lily takes this opportunity while they just got in the van and are trying to settle down to really rumble things up. Just being a huge asshat about it. And
yeah, she's not great in this scene.
Yeah, she's like, I know someone was stealing the stuff to give to the to give to the bandits. Just
for some reason, she thinks it's Carly. She's pretty insistent that it's Carly. I don't know where she got that from.
Yeah, she says it's either Carly or Ben, and I kind of immediately assumed it was Ben.
Well, for good reason, it turns out.
Yeah, it turns out I was not correct, but they don't know this at the time.
Yeah, but even then, like, in the van, Ben is, like, really freaking out. It should be obvious that he's the one who did it.
Yeah.
And Carly's just like, whatever, fuck off. And Ben's like, no, man, I didn't do it.
So you go outside, and she's just, like, really giving everyone the
you hit a walker. The van hits a walker.
Right.
So they have to stop so Kenny can pull it out. And then she's like, everyone out of the van. Everyone line up.
So, yeah, she thinks it's Carly. I'm not sure why. I think maybe they're trying to, like, lean into some, like, girls infighting narrative trope that I kind of hate. And I don't know what that's about, but yeah, because it's clearly you should think Ben. Ben is the newest. He's been with them the shortest amount of time. He would be the dumbest, probably. He would make this bad decision. But you know it's not Duck or Clementine, just because
they're wee children.
You know it's not Lee, because you're Lee.
Clementine's the mastermind behind all this.
You know it's not Lily. It could have been Katya or Kenny, but you have the idea that those people are both smart enough that they would know this is a terrible idea. So really, it just kind of has to be Ben.
Yeah.
But Lily thinks it's Carly. And
when you're showing the flashlight around, Ben is the only one who, like, really freaks out. He's like, what's with the third degree? I didn't break it, man.
Yeah.
Well, everyone else is just kind of like, oh, geez, that sucks.
Yeah. It turns out he did break it, and that's called foreshadowing.
That's called being a big fat liar.
Wow, Ken. Or Ben. Ken Ben.
We got Ken and Ben, Doug and Duck.
So, while they're arguing, sort of out of nowhere, Lily just raises the gun and shoots Carly in the face. And kills Carly instantly.
I think this is the moment in the entire game that stuck with me the most out of, like, any moment in this whole series. Not that I think it's the best moment in the series, but it comes so out of left field and happens so immediately that it's the one that sticks in my head. And I remember a friend of mine, he was playing it, and, you know, we were kind of texting each other back and forth while he was, and when that happened, he texted me, he's like, whoa, what the fuck? And I was like, I know what part you did.
Well, I have in my notes, as these are the notes that start as soon as you get in the van. Lily says, everybody out? Lily, no. Mostly because I'm just thinking, well, everyone out? That's where zombies are. Why go outside? You can talk inside. And then can I just say, I hate that no one calls them zombies. I said it last time. Yeah.
But later on, when you meet Chuck doesn't even call them zombies. Someone just call them that. Just do it. That's the obvious name. You don't have to come up with cutesy little names.
I don't think he
Zombies
calls them
existed.
walkers, but he does. He says something.
He calls them creepy crawlies, which,
that's better than walkers.
I don't know.
I think it's pretty. I think it's significantly better than walkers.
I guess it's true. I mean, creepy crawlies is more specifically like these are bad. Walkers, it's like everything walks.
Yeah.
You don't have to be a zombie to walk.
Yeah, not everything is creepy. Not everything is crawly. Not everything.
But these
crawls.
guys are both.
Everything walks though. It's everything's got a walk cycle in a video game. It's all walking.
That's true. And yeah, I feel like it's just how out of left field this scene is. It just happens so fast. You're like, oh, Jesus Christ. It really makes a strong impression. So
I had to look up online, and I'd never done this for anything else in the game, but I had to look up, is there anything I could have done to make Lily
I think I did
Carly?
too. I think the first time it happened to me, I was like, no, we gotta save her.
I paused the game and I was like, there's no way that just happens. But it does. That's just how that goes. So you have to deal with it.
All the nice people, besides Clementine, leave in this episode.
Yeah.
You're left with Kenny and Ben. Oh,
it's
man.
a really sad moment right after Carly dies, because Carly's dead, but also because you can tell Lily immediately snapped out of a curse. It was just like she was
like,
so
oh, sorry
up
guys,
and
what
so
happened?
Focused on her anger, which, considering that she's Larry's daughter, she's gonna be pretty angry and uncontrollable. But you've never really seen that come out this bad before. And she immediately starts crying and apologizing and pleading with Kenny and with Kenny and Lee, and she's like, "I forgave you, Lee, when you told me you killed someone."
Yeah,
and Kenny, I can forgive you too. You should forgive me.
This doesn't feel the same. I don't think this is at first I was kind of like, she kind of has a point. And then I was immediately like, wait, no, she doesn't, because both of these, I guess Lee's was pretty bad, but Carly felt like shooting Carly was like, you just killed an innocent person.
Yeah.
You just because you were angry. Lee killed someone who had wronged him. Kenny killed someone out of self-defense to protect the group. Lily did it because she was a little mad.
So now you're given the most potentially impactful choice in the episode, which is to take Lily with you or not.
What did you choose, Mitch?
I have it written here, fucking no, you're out, bro. You
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, sorry, Lily.
You're out of here.
Okay, this one I do expect someone who's played multiple times to do different things. So
I know exactly what happens both ways.
Okay, so this time you said, no, don't be here.
I said, you're out of here. Go into the woods, you animal.
You can't do many things to break up this group because they're so tied together by the necessity of teamwork.
Mm-hmm.
But just straight up killing an innocent person without hearing out everyone else, that is absolutely going to do it.
Yeah.
I was even thinking in this episode, hey, I'm really warming up to Lily.
Yeah, she was nice at the beginning. Yeah, and it's ooh.
Yeah, you're absolutely out. You can't just stick around.
This is the reason why I always helped Kenny kill Larry in the episode before. I was like, well, I have no reason to be on Lily's side. I know what happens coming up. But in this playthrough, I played it differently. I was like, well, Lee doesn't know that's going to happen. I feel like Lee would try to help. There's no way he would just jump to dropping a block on his head. Mm-hmm. Even though it's pointless. Lily does this either way.
Yeah.
Do you want to know what happens if you take Lily with you?
Yeah.
So if you take Lily with you, you tie her up, keep her in the van. When you get to the train, she undoes her restraints and she takes the van. She drives off with the RV.
Wow.
Yeah, she bails either way.
So I at a certain point in this episode, I started writing a gone column on the side of my notes.
It fills up pretty fast this episode.
Yeah, so I've got Carly, and then I've got Lily. But the thing with Lily is, I think it's possible for Lily to come back.
We don't see her die. We don't see her. She sees walkers and then runs off. You see her like freak out and start running off. So you never see what Lily's ultimate fate is.
Yeah, so I'm sure that at this point you know, because you've played so much more and you've played the future seasons and stuff, that you know stuff I don't. So I guess don't completely spoil it for me, but
I won't tell.
I'll just tell you what I'm thinking. I would be kind of upset if Lily came back after leaving her on the side of the road. That should narratively be a death sentence. Not that I don't kind of want to see her come back. I immediately felt sort of bad about it. I mean, like I'm still incredibly furious with her, but I like her saying, "You just asked me forgiveness for you killing a person," like just earlier today, and like, oh, that's true.
It's true, but it's totally different.
But that's clearly why the designers want you to do that. Like, hey, you're given this opportunity to tell everyone, and you're like in the mode of expecting forgiveness because no one is actually going to hold it against you that hard. They're going to be shocked and surprised, but you're watching everyone who you've been like nervous about telling this whole time sort of say like, hey, Lee, I mean, that's bad. That's clearly bad, but you're not a bad guy.
Yeah, they've had months. They've known Lee for so long at this point.
And then you have to make a strong call about it being thrown back in your face.
Yeah.
And you don't give the forgiveness that you were expecting from everyone else. Probably. I'm assuming that most people leave Lily behind. I'm not sure.
I think I really think it's different when you've killed someone in the past rather than killing someone else who was part of your group.
Well, yeah.
Carly was a big part of, she was among this group of, I don't want to say friends, but survivors, this group. And that who's to say she doesn't do that to anyone else?
Yeah, that's the main thing.
What about poor Clementine?
Right. Yeah. If
that hat's not gonna protect her brain.
If you're trying to keep this group safe, you're trying to keep them away from anyone that could potentially like blow a gasket and just get really mad and start shooting people. And Lily just proved she's exactly that kind of person. And because you know, like the hereditary thing with this anger management problem, it's probably not just going to be fixed because she feels really bad.
I'm sorry.
Well, she basically tries the I'm sorry approach.
Yeah.
And it is not convincing.
Ooh.
Oh, she's sorry? I didn't know that.
If you I didn't take into consideration that you were sorry. I guess you can come. Yeah, like what were they thinking they would do with her if you bring her with you? Like,
yeah, I mean,
do you just keep her tied up forever? Like Leonard?
Yeah, I guess Telltale sort of set the expectation that you can do that.
Yeah, just keep her in the closet. Feed her when
Max
she needs
tied up. Leonard, you feed him old VHS tapes or whatever.
Yeah, I feed him old VHS tapes.
Yeah, that's what you feed Leonard.
Could you imagine if in this group they brought back one of the other Telltale Texas Hold'em characters?
This would be the funniest series to bring back an old Texas Hold'em character.
Oh, the surfer guy? Imagine if you had him in your group.
Yeah, like after the train station, you meet up with Henry Winehead. That'd be so funny.
Oh man! I haven't played season 4 yet. Maybe it's still possible.
Maybe that's the end of season reveal. Like, this was in the universe too. Henry Winehead's right here.
You walk by and they're all playing a card game.
I could totally see some zombies based on those characters, just like in the background of one scene, though.
I could see that
as a little Easter egg. Because they're already deformed enough because they're zombies that you can't tell that, like, in life they were also deformed.
Yeah. Mitch, I want to bring it up just before I forget. I don't even remember if I had already brought this up last episode. Did I ever tell you how they referenced The Walking Dead in Poker Night 2? They have like a little conversation about it. Yeah, other than Doug. They have a little conversation about it. I don't remember the exact conversation, but my favorite part of it, I think Sam is talking about how, The Walking Dead got so big now, and now it's so popular. He says, even that goofball Larry wanted script approval.
Who's Larry?
From The Walking Dead? The guy whose head got crushed?
Oh! I was thinking Sam and Max characters. Okay, yeah. I know Larry.
No, they're talking about Walking Dead and how it's, so big for Telltale now, and Sam's talking about Larry. Mitch, I was so taken aback when you said that. Who's Larry?
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. That was strange.
I was like, oh my god.
I was just thinking, like, Larry Koopa, Larry the lobster from SpongeBob. I don't know.
I guess Larry from Walking Dead wouldn't be one of the most iconic Larrys in games.
Yeah, you know what I think part of it is he doesn't really look like a Larry to me. I have an uncle named Larry who's a very gentle, smaller guy.
Larry strikes you as a nicer name, a nicer person.
He's like hey, it's Larry. It's a party time.
Party time. Maybe he was in his younger days.
Yeah,
he was party. They called him Party Time Larry.
He threw his patented angry parties.
Angry parties. You know what? I think Larry's my new weekly guy.
Yeah, that's where the term rager comes from. It's an angry party.
They scream at each other and punch each other.
So, yeah, kicking Lily out felt really bad for me. It was the choice in this episode that I regretted the most by far. I don't know if I regretted it to the point where I would have done something else, reset. But I was really preoccupied with it the whole time.
I think it has to happen. She can't be in this group no more. That gets you kicked out. Sorry.
They're really good with these moments about putting Clementine right in a doorway or something.
Yeah, she saw the whole thing. She saw Lily shoot Carly right in her face.
Yeah, her seeing Lily shoot Carly made me feel better. Like, okay, Clementine's going to understand why Lily can't come. But then her seeing you kick out Lily is like, oh man, I wish she didn't see that. I wish she just thought Lily left. Because that does make you feel quite bad. But, like your character, and by extension the player, probably developing some sort of feelings for Carly at this point. And
yeah, I think so. I think it was pretty clear when you were talking with her, and now Carly's head is mush on the ground. Yeah.
Well, that's a bummer.
Yeah, that's instant boner killer.
Oh, well, you found this train. And you're able to get it working and going. And on the way, you find this guy named Chuck. And Chuck, in somewhere in the middle of it all, tells. I'm going a little bit out of order, but let's just do this first, I guess. He tells Lee, like, hey, Clementine's gonna die out there if you don't make some big changes.
She ain't gonna make it.
You need a plan. And by the way, look at her mop of a hair. You like, she's so grabbable. And what? She doesn't know how to shoot a gun? What are you trying to wait for?
That's the furthest thing from epic.
Yeah, he says that about the word epic, and then Lee's like, I'm convinced.
That's not very awesome sauce of you, Lee.
So I think that you can potentially not do all of these things. But I did all the things.
I think you do have to do them all. I think the story progresses once you do all these.
Yeah, so you teach her how to use a gun, which she's pretty upset about, but I think filters into this idea of like, Katya, you really were wrong about this. Like, we have to.
No, I don't disagree with Katya. It's not cool that you guys have to carry around these guns. We do need to do it, but that doesn't mean you necessarily have to like it.
Well, yeah, but I don't think that's what she was saying. I think...
I think it was. She was just saying, I don't like that we carry all these guns around now. I'm uncomfortable with all these guns. I don't think she was saying... I don't think she was making the argument of, like, I think we should get rid of all these guns. I think she was just saying, this sucks. You know, we all have guns now. Everything's different. This sucks. And that's right. That is true. I agree with her. But Lee does tell her, look, it does suck, but... Unfortunately, this is the world we're in now.
I think,
and it sucks for Clementine too. It sucks that she has to use a gun.
I agree with this, but I also sort of my take on what Katya was doing was like, if she's starting an argument with Kenny about this, that means like she's saying, I'm uncomfortable with these guns, therefore, let's do something about it. Like it wouldn't be an argument if she was just voicing like, man, I hate how we have to use guns now. I think the argument stems from, do you really have to use a gun right now? And like, well, yeah. And that to me felt like Katya kind of just not getting it. But
I can see that. To me, it just felt like what she was saying was she just doesn't like it. But that could be too. But also, I feel like Kenny might be the type of person who would kind of make it more of an argument. Just if you say, "Look, I don't like that we have guns," he might be like, "Well, we need it. What the hell? We need these guns." Kenny's very. I could see Kenny having an argument with his wife over something, over an opinion on something, I guess.
Well, even what you just said just now, like, look, I don't like that we have guns. That kind of feels just like. So. Are you saying you want me to do something? Like, you want me to not have a gun? Because I'm not going to not have a gun.
Yeah, no, I get that, but...
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I think either way that you feel about it, it makes you feel weird teaching Clementine to shoot. But it does also give you a moment of dadly... advice where you can teach a kid something that I think feels good for this moment in Lee and Clementine's relationship, where she's had just the worst day in the world watching Lily and Carly leave and everything.
Yeah, and this is after the part with Duck and Katya too.
Yeah.
So even worse things that we haven't talked about yet.
So there's a choice in here. So Katya is taking care of Duck, who's been feeling terrible since he was bitten. And Kenny's just trying to block it all out and get the train going. He's trying to focus on the train in an effort to not focus on Duck.
He's very much in denial. He's like, he's fine, so he's a little sick.
Yeah. It's obviously not fine.
It's not great, no. Should have given him some of that Benang.
Yeah. Why didn't Duck drink the Benang?
That could have saved him. He could have still been around.
Yeah. Whatever they do to fix zombieism in Tales of Monkey Island kind of makes you feel like The Walking Dead should have just done that, but fine.
Yeah, why didn't they just do that? Pirate voodoo.
Yeah, they should. It's frustrating that no one's trying pirate voodoo.
No one thought of this? Really?
But Katya gets to the point where she's like, you gotta tell Kenny to stop the train. It's for real right now. And there's two choices here. One is like, how do you get Kenny out of his stupor? And you can either fight him or talk him out of it.
Which did you do?
I didn't realize I was making a choice about it, but I eventually talked him out of it.
I did too, but the very first time I ever did it, I fought with him.
What happens when you fight him?
It's about what you think.
Does he
fight with him?
Does he hate you more for that?
I think so. He gets real mad. He starts getting he says like, I fucking hate you, Lee. You're always a piece of shit, etc., etc. Which is why I usually try to talk him out of it now. It's like, I don't want to be that guy and fight Kenny.
Yeah.
I don't hate Kenny that much.
By the end of this episode, Kenny's opinion of Lee is just very indifferent to the point of clear depression.
Yeah. Well, that's just how he
me.
feels about everything.
Yeah. So is that not the case? Is he more angry if you fight him?
I think even if you fight him, it's just the same. Like, he's not gonna care. He's not gonna show any anger towards Lee if he lost his whole family.
Yeah, I guess
I feel like it's just this. It has been a long time since I've actually fought with Kenny, so maybe it is. But
that feels kind of like an empty choice then. Like, what's the purpose of it being different? I guess just in the moment you want to do different stuff, but
yeah, it's just part of the story. It's just what's going on.
Sure.
Because even if you're like on Kenny's side the whole time, even if you and Kenny are like the best bros, after Kenny's family bites it, I think he's not really gonna be close with anybody.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. So however you do it, you're eventually going to be able to convince Kenny to see the light in that Duck is going to die, and if he dies, he's going to become a walker, which means he can't even keep his body on the car.
Yeah.
So then you're given, I think, a bigger choice of saying who should kill Duck.
Mm-hmm.
Either you say Katya should do it, Kenny should do it, or I'll do it.
That's 3 choices. That's one more than normal.
Yeah. Clearly,
what did you say?
Well, it's so weighted, right? You're not going to tell someone's parents, like, oh, you're the parent, so you should definitely kill your own kid. Did you do it?
So here's the thing. I always shoot Duck for them.
Uh-huh, yeah.
Our friend Adam did not quite see it that way.
Interesting. Okay.
Adam
I
told
definitely
Kenny
also
to
shot
do
Duck
it.
for them. Like I felt like it's the only right thing to do. You don't force the parent to kill their kid. What did Adam do?
Adam said, I don't want to do it, you do it.
To Kenny or Katya?
Kenny. He told Kenny, ew, I don't want to shoot a kid, you handle it.
Okay, what happened? Did Kenny go through with it?
Yeah, but so when you actually, after Katya shoots herself,
so that still happens.
You're given.
Okay.
Yeah, we didn't even get to that part yet. That happens no matter what. But like,
even if you say Katya should do it.
Yeah, she goes into the woods and kills herself, and then both you and Kenny are like, "What the flip was that?" And then you run in and you see it, and Kenny's like, "Oh no, geez." And
shoot!
Darn it!
Dagnab!
She's the person I kissed at my wedding.
That's such a strange way. Have you ever said that before? That's such a strange way to put that.
Well, I've never been married before, so
That's
I
true.
guess I haven't had the opportunity yet.
It's the person I kissed at my wedding. She was there even.
You know what? When I was standing right up there on the altar, I guess she was the only other one there.
She was at my wedding.
And now she's dead on the floor in a pile of spaghetti sauce.
It did look like the least real blood out of anything this season so far. Did you clock that as well? It really didn't. Like, this season leans into the gore, and it's still very stylized and everything. But
maybe it's just since you don't see it happen, you just see the puddle, so it's a little like, oh, well, that's just... Mm-hmm. They just placed that under her. Yeah. I don't like that Katya dies. She was my big crush, remember? I told you last episode.
Yeah, I wanted to know what your sister thought of that, but...
She hasn't listened to it yet. Boy, I regret saying it.
Yeah, well, we'll find out.
I guess I regret bringing it... Yeah, I guess I regret bringing it up to the forefront again more this episode. So let's move on.
Yeah, you know what? Like, it's one of those things where I'll steer it away from you as a friend if you want me to, but also if you bring it up, I can't do anything for you.
I appreciate it. I appreciate the thought. So anyway, Kenny lost both. Yeah, I did choose to shoot duck.
Yeah. Did Adam?
Adam did not.
Okay.
Adam, even back then, because they let you go back on it.
Yeah.
When after Katya dies, you can choose to be like, "Oh, look, Kenny, your wife just died. I won't make you kill your kid." Adam was still like, "No, you kill him." I don't want it. I got stuff to do.
What is Adam's perspective? Why?
Oh man.
Did you ask him about it?
No, I just let him do it. You know, I don't want to tell him that the choices he makes are wrong, but
well, I don't think they are. I just want to know why he did it.
Yeah, I mean, when I asked him, that's what it came down to. It was just Adam saying, "I didn't want to do it."
I didn't want. Yeah. Wow, that's so smart. We should have done that because I didn't want to do it.
Imagine if Lee said that. Ew, Kenny, no, he's your kid. I don't want to shoot him.
Yeah, I don't want to.
Deal with it, nerd.
I think this is such a clever mechanical thing because when you're sort of like on the side of the train and Katya's holding Duck and the question of like who should kill Duck comes up, I still picked I'll do it, but it felt very abstracted at that point. It didn't feel real.
Mm-hmm.
But once you get in the woods and you see that Katya already died and you see the permanence of that, I think you're in it now. You've been inoculated to what the situation really is about. People are going to leave.
Yeah, you say, "Oh, so this is The Walking Dead."
Yeah, so this is what this choice really means. When it's either me or Kenny. That's actually what the choice is about. And you're finally given that, like, Katya died to give you a clear-headedness about the mechanics of this game. About, like, can you really kill Duck? And I still did, but it was harder that second time.
Yeah, and they make you do it. It's not like a cutscene. You gotta, like, actually aim the reticle at Duck and choose to shoot him.
I had the reticle aimed at Duck for a good 5-6 seconds before I actually pulled the trigger. I wasn't sure if I was actually going to do it. I mean, I was going to do it. That's not true. I lied about that. I knew for sure that was him.
You look over at Kenny. He's just kidding, right? He's just fooling.
Yeah, like now you start to talk like Kenny. Like, no, he might get better.
Yeah, he's fine. So he's a little sick.
He's a little sick. Well, I'm glad we came to an agreement.
You know what? I think in terms of emotion, they really sell this scene really well. Just seeing like Kenny, this hardened asshole this whole time, just break down. He doesn't like hold it in. You see him fucking sob his eyes out. You see the tears go down his face. You see his lip quiver. You see him like hide his face in his hand. They really just go all in on Kenny is fucked here. And I think they pulled it off super well.
Yeah. It's real rough. I think the episode could have ended there. Because everything after this point
think so too.
Just feels sort of tacked on.
Yeah, I don't dislike what happens, but now that you say that, I do agree. And I think it's because this episode runs longer than the others too.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
When I was watching my roommates play it, I thought so much happens in this episode, and it's so long. I do feel like you could have like saved Omid and Krista for episode 4, but then also maybe not, because episode 4 is also pretty long, and a lot happens in it. So maybe they just had to. Maybe they were like, "Look, we don't have the room to move this." But I do agree with you. I do agree. This probably would have been a good note to end on. It just would have been like a really powerful scene. And it's like, oh shit. Well, I hope it gets better next time.
Yeah. And then I kind of felt the same after that when I cut Clementine's hair. And like, that would have been a very sort of calm, thinky moment to end the episode. And then it didn't happen either.
Yeah, maybe that would have been good to end on, because it's like, look, a lot of shit went down, but you kind of have this uplifting moment right after where okay, so we're prepared, we have a plan, let's go into this next episode and hope things play out a little better. Let's hope less people die this time.
Yeah. So the Omid and Krista thing, let's not spend too much time on it because we're getting long in the episode, and also
there's a lot to talk about. But yeah, this we don't need to get as into it.
Yeah, there's an oil tanker hanging off the side of an overhead bridge that the train is going to run into. If they don't
no, we totally missed something. Tanker. We totally forgot something.
Is it critical?
Oh well, we brought it up earlier. I was just going to bring up how it turns out Ben did. He admits that he was responsible for it. And Lee's like, you better keep that shit to yourself, you stupid Shaggy asshole.
Yeah, and my prediction is that he does keep it to himself. He goes... just because I can't imagine, 2 episodes from now, Ben goes, I have to say it, it was my fault. And then Kenny goes what? From 5 years ago? Why would it matter?
5 years ago?
Yeah, for Lily and Carly being gone, those aren't even my favorite people. Who gives a shit?
Well, it's more he's responsible for Kenny's family being gone. I feel like that's the big one. I feel like at this point everyone's
indirectly though,
yeah, but it's still, it still is his fault. He doesn't make the deal with the bandits. The bandits never attack. The walkers never bite Duck.
I guess that's
at least
that's
there.
Such a long thing though, and because even if the bandits did attack, Duck was in exactly the wrong place to find a walker on.
Well,
him.
he wouldn't have been in that spot if the bandits didn't attack. Even if the walkers got in, I feel like Duck might not have been in that exact wrong spot to be in.
That's so butterfly effect though. Even for someone,
but it is the way it happened.
I can't imagine him actually caring. Maybe I'm wrong.
Are you sure about that? Remember Kenny?
Yeah, okay. And also you've played the game, so maybe it matters. But I don't know.
But boy,
I can't.
Ben really fuck. This has one of my favorite scenes, just out of a It doesn't even play into the story, but I would feel bad if I didn't bring it up because it's me and my sister's favorite thing in the episode, and also my roommate's got a big kick out of it. If you exhaust all your options with Ben, and then you talk to him again, not a Ben, he goes, "Hey Ben, yeah, see ya, yeah."
Yeah, I got that too. I loved that.
Yeah, that's the inside joke thing from Walking Dead season 1 for me. I bring it up with anyone I play it with.
Hey Ben. Yeah?
Yeah.
See ya. Yeah.
It's the best. It's just the best. Okay, so anyway, Omid, Krista, you find Omid and Krista on the bridge. You got to cut down the tanker that's blocking the train's way.
Are these show characters?
No, they're for the game.
Okay, Omid struck me as is this based on an actor I should know or something?
He kind of has that. He has a very specific face to him.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like Omid. No, he's made for the game, but I do like Omid. I feel like after all this shit that's gone down, it helps having someone who's a little more lighthearted, a little more. I don't want to say he's jokey, but he's a little jokey. He's here to kind of make you smile a little bit.
This is the first time in this game where I lost 4 characters this game. Carly, Lily, Katya, and Duck.
That's right. I totally forgot Lily counted because you don't necessarily see her die. Mm-hmm. So I was like, 4? What are you talking? Oh, yeah. So now I get it.
Yeah, and again, maybe she comes back, but I'm sort of playing along with the game right now. Okay, what if she doesn't? Yeah. But with Chuck, the vagrant character on the train, and Omid and Krista, the people that you just run into when they're on a bridge, it felt artificial to me. We're just replenishing the pool of people you have to talk to.
I was gonna say the same thing. I don't mind it since I do more or less like these characters, but it does kind of feel like you could have maybe saved them for the next episode, and it wouldn't have felt that. You immediately lose these characters, and then you immediately gain more, in the same episode. I do feel like you could have held off and introduced them like the following month, the next episode, and it wouldn't have felt that strongly like you were just replacing them. So I get it. I get where you're coming from.
And especially for me, Carly and Lily were both characters I quite liked. So it's like, oh, well, don't feel bad that those people that you liked are gone. Here's some
You got
free
Omid
randos.
and Krista now.
Yeah.
You got Chuck now. Don't worry about them.
Omid is like a big Civil War history buff. Isn't that great? Like, dude, Lily was there. there were all these people that were just here.
You're not going to make me forget about Lily or Carly.
Well, yeah, I guess I forgot already which one it is. Yeah, this whole thing, you got to get this oil tanker down so the train can pass. And the way you do it is you go into this train station that's a little ways away with Clementine. And this is your first. Clementine knows how to use a gun now, and Clementine's going to be active in helping you.
Yeah, she's your little sidekick.
She's small enough to fit in a hole above this cell door. I don't know why there's like a cell in a train station. That doesn't make any sense.
Maybe it was just part of the aesthetic. It's like, it's a sheriff's office now or something. Because there were cells and keys.
Yeah.
So maybe it's just to sell the illusion. I don't know. That's the only reason I can think of. Why would you have jail cells?
Maybe it's like a tourist trap where like they pretend it's a jail.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I meant. Like, see, it's like the Wild West.
Ooh.
Remember the train?
So you send Clementine in, and she finds this blowtorch, but all of a sudden there are some walkers in this room, which would have been impossible to hide, but somehow they were there. And there's two that Lee needs to fend off, and you just do that. And then there's one inside the cell that Clementine needs to fend off, and then you feel really bad about sending Clementine in there at all, but she gets the keys, and you unlock the door, and you get her out.
Mm-hmm.
And also, she has the gun, so...
Yes, she didn't shoot it. She couldn't shoot it, so I guess the point of the scene is just, look, we know we taught Clementine, but she's not quite ready yet.
Yeah, she's got the physical skill, but, like, she's not...
She needs to bring herself to pull the trigger when she needs to.
She's not mentally in the situation yet.
Yeah, which is understandable. Mm-hmm. I get it.
Yeah. But then you get that blowtorch, you use it to cut through the metal, which is like, I know you can do that, but the metal's so thick, it'll take way longer.
This part feels very adventure gamey. It's like, oh, well, we need to cut this down. Oh, well, luckily there was a blowtorch in this train station.
Yeah.
Just what we need.
Seriously, I think everything after Duck dies is like a little bit, not a little bit, it's a much weaker episode all of a sudden. It's fine. It's not like bringing me down. It's not the worst thing we've ever played on this podcast, but
it's just up until that point. Think of all the other shit you've done in this episode.
Yeah.
And then this, I think that I agree with you that episode 2 is kind of a stronger story because that's the focus the entire episode. Here, it's lots of things happening, lots of big shit happening, and that's great, but then this last part feels kind of disconnected from the rest of it.
Yeah, I can tell that like this episode 3 is sort of, we're closing a lot of loops that began in episode 1, and we're opening a lot of loops that are probably going to end in episode 5, bringing the season together. And it has an internal arc, and I think it's Kenny's family is the owner of that arc.
Mm-hmm.
But it and also Lily's thing and Kenny's family, between the two of them, that makes the personality of this episode. But this episode is also kind of what I was talking about before, where it's like, I don't know if I will for sure remember everything that happens in this episode specifically, because it feels more like this is chapter 3 of 5. This is part of a much larger thing, where episode 2 really was its own thing that was also part of a larger thing.
I think overall this episode still has its own identity. Like, this is the train episode. Like, even when you're doing this stuff, it's so you can get the train moving.
Mm-hmm.
But it does feel disconnected to all of the character stuff that had just happened.
Yeah, that's true.
But, you know, I'll still be able to look at this and say, yes, the famous train episode.
So the train being loud attracts a lot of walkers, but it usually doesn't matter because you're going so fast that it just they can't get on. But the train's been idling for a while you cut down this oil tanker thing. So now the danger is there's a bunch of walkers coming up. So
it's a walker party. There's like it's like a tidal wave of walkers behind you.
So you're cutting down the thing, and you do it, and then everyone except for you and Omid, who were there cutting down the thing, gets on the train, and the train's going. And then there's some light choices, I'll call them, here with Omid that might or might not matter. You try to talk Omid into jumping, and like
he's like, no.
You have the option to push him, but like he doesn't just jump. He just doesn't do it.
Yeah.
Did you push him?
I did not push him. I told him jump, and he says no. And you say just do it. And he's like still no. And then Lee just says fine. And then he jumps off. And then after that, Omid says fuck. And then he jumps off.
Yeah, I wanted them to give me the option one more time because at that point I was going to push him. But I didn't realize he was really this set in on not jumping. I kind of thought, because Omid reads very much like a comic relief character. So when he's saying like, no, I don't think so, I'm like, okay, you're joking, but you will, right? And then he didn't. It's like, oh, sorry, I took the tone wrong. I thought you were just not going to do it.
I'm sorry, I thought you were supposed to be the funny one.
Yeah, be funny on the train.
Come on, yuck it up.
So he hurts his leg really badly.
Yeah, so whether you push him or he jumps, he does not get a good he does not land on it well. He falls off and hurts his leg.
Oh, so it doesn't matter if you push him? Oh, I don't like that.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter. I thought
that mattered. Okay.
No, if you don't push him, then Lee just says, all right, suit yourself, and he jumps off, and then Omid's just like, fuck, Jesus. And then he jumps off. Then he falls and hurts his leg, and he goes, ooh, ah.
Mm-hmm. So,
and then you get another choice.
And this one I really don't like.
Mitch, I'm sorry this episode ended on a low note for you.
It's fine. It sort of deflated as it went on, but
I get it. I'm with you.
But I don't love this choice because like
it doesn't matter.
Krista goes and helps Omid stand up, and then they're running after the train, and then Omid and Krista are like right in front of the window, and I guess I know now it's a choice of like which one are you prioritizing. Omid with the broken leg who like needs more help, or Krista who doesn't have a broken leg who could help more. And I didn't see any of that choice. I was just like, oh, Krista's right in front of me, I'll pick her up. And then like it's one of those things where like the reality of the choice I'm making does not match up at all with what I think I'm making the choice on. Because I thought like I'm just gonna grab Krista and then I'm gonna grab Omid, like one after the other. Why would this be a choice? But I grabbed Krista, and then they like both sat back, and then it says you chose to help Krista first, and I'm like, oh well, shit! I would have definitely picked Omid first. It's like Krista was just right in front of me. So,
do you think it would have worked better if they? So for this choice, the camera's in a weird spot where you're seeing Lee look either left or right at them. Usually when you have to make a choice like this, it puts the camera behind Lee.
Yeah.
And puts it like, you have to make the choice. Do you think that's why it didn't really feel like something you had to think about and choose?
Yeah, or like the camera would be centered between the two choices. It wasn't this time. It was right in front of Krista.
Yeah.
So I was just like, oh, well, this is fastest. And then like the fastest thing to do it will save the most people once I keep saving people. But it only lets you save one person at first, and then Omid just finds his way on the train.
Yeah, it is kind of a weak choice because no matter who you pick, the other one gets on anyway. I wonder if they're playing with expectations with it, because at this point, you pretty much know, like, look, if you have to choose between two people, one of them's making it and the other isn't. And so this time, that's not what happens. Both of them get on the train regardless.
I'm glad that didn't happen because I would have wanted to save Omid of the two of them because...
Yeah, he's fun. He's the funny one.
He's not mad at me.
Yeah, Krista's so rude to you in this episode. Mm-hmm. And she's like nice to Clementine. She's not like awful. But it feels like every time you talk to her, she's like when you save Clementine in the train station, she's like, you expect me to believe you two stopped 3 walkers? And Lee, you can be like, hey, we made it, didn't we? Yeah. She says like, yeah, this time. It's like, what answer do you want me to say to you? Are you going to be angry no matter what I say?
yeah.
There's no winning with you, Krista.
Like, I think that is... We're coming up on maybe a systemic weakness of this format rather than particular choices. It's like, if you want a character to be mad at me, I will be upset if I felt like I made all the decisions that would maybe even sacrifice happiness in some other way, but were specifically guided toward not making this character mad at me. That isn't real life, you know? Like, if I sacrificed everything in my own life to make you not mad at me, Dustin, I could do it. But I don't do that, so you're always mad at me.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Like it's always a choice between different things. I think that's realistic, but, like, if I made an effort to be like, hey, I actually want Krista on my side, I really feel I should be able to do it. Maybe it should make everything worse if it's a bad call, but like that one thing should be possible.
I guess so, but also at the same time, I guess some people are just like that. Like, remember early in the episode, Kenny and you are not seeing eye to eye, and it feels like even if you say the stuff that should make him not mad at you, he's still like a little pissy. He's still like a little mad at you. So, you know, I guess that's just... Maybe it's less realistic to be like, I said the nice thing, now you have to be nice to me.
Yeah, or at least, like, I haven't given you actual reason to feel the way you feel.
Yeah, I guess Krista's just a little more... maybe she's just a little less open to trusting these new people than Omid is. And I guess that is how it is when they're up on the bridge. Because Omid's like, hey, how's it going? Krista's like, look, if you give us trouble, we're out of here. Mm-hmm. So I wonder if she's just distrustful. Maybe something happened in her life early on to make her like, even if you're nice to me, I don't trust you, mister.
Yeah, like a zombie apocalypse or something.
Yeah, maybe. But that is where the episode ends, after you save
there's
either
one more thing.
Omid or Krista. Oh, right, I almost forgot. This part's important.
So Clementine's asleep on the train, and they're all just sort of hanging out. And Lee and Kenny are in the front compartment of the conductor's room of the train. And then all of a sudden, Clementine's radio makes a sound.
Uh-oh.
And it's a guy's voice, and he's like, "Hey, Clementine, I'm here with your parents. We're gonna get
come and find us, whether Lee wants you to or not."
Yeah, whether Lee wants you to or not. So all of those times in the last 3 episodes, which they haven't done that much, but they've done a little bit, where Clementine's been talking to her radio, you're meant to believe...
You see it at the beginning of this episode in particular, when you're coming back to the motel.
Yeah.
You see her talking on her walkie-talkie, and Lee's just kind of like, huh, that's weird.
Yeah. You're meant to believe that she's just been sort of imagining her parents on the radio.
Yeah.
And she's not actually talking to anyone, and it's a broken radio, but, you know, it means something.
But it turns out
she's been talking to someone.
Yeah, someone who doesn't sound awesome.
Yeah. There's a very strange through line of this season so far, and I don't know if it's going to go anywhere, but, like, there's this crazed woman out in the woods who's decided that she's going to adopt Clementine. And then there's this guy on the radio that, like, he wants to own Clementine. Why?
Clementine's all the rage these days.
Everyone wants a Clementine? Like, why is she so high in demand?
'Cause she's the big star of The Walking Dead.
Yeah, but not yet.
People want more Clementine.
People want more Clementine. Really, though, is it just like people preying on little girls, and is that just the whole thing? Like, why would anyone care about Clementine?
Well, the thing is, in the last episode, it was because Jolene, the woman who worked at the Save Lots, the story there is she went crazy after the bandits kidnapped her daughter.
Right.
I think her daughter, and just took her into the woods and like raped and killed her, I guess. And so she went insane, and I guess she's just looking to replace her to save someone else. So she thinks she's like trying to save Clementine from all this shit. And then she gets shot in the head by Danny.
Right, that did happen. But I mean, yeah, each one of these people, except for now, we don't know the reasoning of the guy on the radio.
Yeah.
But it still feels like each one of the, like, this group of people have their reasons, but in general, it's coming up a lot. So what is the arc of the story trying to say? Like, when you have a kid, everyone wants it.
It's because she's cute as a button, and everyone wants one.
Everyone
they
wants
see
a
Lee
Clementine.
They see Lee taking care of Clementine. They're like, "Oh, I want one of those."
Is this how women feel all the time? Because, man, that sucks, and it gives me a newfound appreciation for their struggles in life.
See, I don't want a child to take care of. I can barely take care of myself. I don't want to. It's hard enough taking care of a Clementine in the game.
My decision to have a child is going to be greatly informed by how many other people want it.
I want people to be jealous of me.
Oh, that's the opposite direction I was going to head, but interesting. In the this time or next week on, or not next week, next episode of Walking Dead, like they give you the preview. I was laughing really hard through this because they show they show the guy on the radio as a silhouette, sort of like flitting through the bushes.
Mm-hmm.
And then Lee cuts like, Clementine, who were you talking to? But they show the silhouette. And I don't know how many people are going to be able to relate to this. But this silhouette looks exactly like the silhouette of Jonathan Blow in Indie Game the Movie that our friend G-Man sometimes posts whenever he's like making fun of someone being sad. He puts,
G-Man loves making fun of people being sad.
He does. It's a personality defect for sure. But he posts this image of Jonathan Blow like looking out the window, and just the contours of his face. This is the exact look. So I'm just imagining Jonathan Blow like running through the bushes and stuff, and it's hilarious. And that was probably not the intention of
probably not but
of this video game.
That's funny that you get these next time on Walking Dead. I'm playing the first collection they did that's just up to season 3 in Michonne. I don't get those. They cut those out. It just flows. Once you finish an episode, it goes right into the next one. And I don't like that. I like having the next time on, even though they are kind of pointless if you just have them all in one collection. It flows
into the next one?
It just, as soon as the credits are done, it starts the next episode.
Whoa, this kicks you back out to the menu. That's interesting.
Yeah. Personally, I like that more. I don't like being thrown into the next one because I don't want to immediately start the next episode.
Right. Don't we know we have a weekly podcast? We have a schedule.
Yeah, come on. I can't play this until next Friday.
Okay.
At the last minute.
Yeah, I don't know. You can play it earlier. Actually, that'd be helpful sometimes.
Mitch, we played them at the same time. We
did this time, but we didn't. Okay, let's head into our segments.
Let's head into these segments.
Which one you want to tackle first? Golden Moment, Weekly Guy, or Choice Cut?
You know what? I feel like we've been saving Choice Cut for last every time so far.
Okay.
So why don't we do it first this time?
Okay.
What was your Choice Cut?
Mine was one we actually didn't talk about at all.
Oh, interesting. Say it.
So at one point, when you're talking to Chuck, when the train is already in motion, he mentions that he could really go for a drink. You can tell he was maybe like a wino in life. In life as in before the zombie apocalypse. So you go, and by the way, Dustin, I've made a decision for myself. This is as good of a time as I need to talk about it.
Let's discuss.
I'm never going to call them walkers. I'll never do it. You can't make me.
Not this time. Not this. I'm not succumbing.
I'm never going to call them walkers.
It's not a good
make
name.
me do it.
Don't worry, Mitch. I feel like you won't have to for much longer.
Well, if something happens to these people where like, okay, so this was the walker problem, but now they're dealing with zombies, that's the only thing I could maybe think of that would make me not call them zombies.
They
like, oh, the zombies
yeah,
are
they
different.
huddle up.
Okay.
They huddle up. They say, look, walkers wasn't a great name for them. We need to workshop some new names.
Oh, I was thinking more like, well, walkers and zombies both exist in this universe, and they're different.
You're
things.
saying they're different.
Yeah. Well, if the characters make an implication that like, oh, well, the walkers were frustrating to deal with. These zombies, though,
forget about it.
They're so fast. Like, okay, they're different. I'll say zombies.
They're more like we should call them joggers.
We got the walkers and the sprinters.
Walkers are fine. You don't have to worry about them, but the sprinters.
Yeah, and then
those
walkers
guys are
and
fast.
the sprinters interbreed with each other, and then their kids are called the joggers. And
it's like Pokemon.
Yeah. It's like Pokemon in that you can breed and fuse Pokemon species. That's not a Pokemon thing. Get out of here, Justin.
I guess I don't know why I said that.
Bad comparisons.
Other than, I guess it was just the fact that you can breed them.
Yeah, like ducks.
That's where the comparison
you can breed
ends.
ducks too.
Yeah, I guess you can just say that's like real life.
So you can choose to not give him the alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, no, I don't think that's true. I think you have to because you need...
Oh yeah, it's the puzzle.
Yeah, this is puzzle related. So you do give him the alcohol, and then he asks if you want to take a drink with him.
Mm-hmm.
And for some reason, this decision impacted me more than anything else that I actually chose in the episode. Because, like...
Interesting.
It was just a thing where I realized 2 episodes ago, or like in any kind of similar real life situation, I would absolutely have the drink with him. That sounds great, actually. We just had a moment where we sort of connected over concern for Clementine. Mm-hmm. And also, how long has it been since you had a drink? That probably would be great. But just something about, like, I just saw Duck Diet, and I know that tensions are high, made me, in real life, have to, like, monitor the alcohol consumption of Lee just so he's always ready to make a good decision. I didn't know if they would, like, make me do something bad if I did the drink.
If you drink, you think it just doesn't it picks like a random choice for you?
That'd be so funny.
That would be great. But Lee's like, whatever.
Oh my god, that'd be hilarious. Like, just later on in the episode, you say something bad, like, immediately when the dialogue prompt comes up, and then in the upper left-hand corner it says, the alcohol made you pick something more aggressive than you would normally pick. Like,
that would be good.
And it's just that one choice, because it's like one drink. You're not getting drunk, but, like, it's just that one thing
for that one moment. That would be funny. I hate that that's not the route they went down. I think I like this game less now.
Well, I didn't take the drink, but I normally would have, and just the context that I was put in the way that this episode is written made me concerned that if I drank one drink, it would be like it wouldn't be like party movie where everything fades to black and it like, oh, dude, where's my car? It would be like I just wouldn't be quite quick enough on the draw in a choice later on in the episode or something.
Right.
And the fact that this game has convinced me that might be true is kind of amazing. And I'm pretty sure it's not true. But yeah, so the choice of whether you drink or not with Chuck, you have to let Kenny drink with Chuck in order to get past Kenny to pick up a map.
I will say this puzzle feels more organic than the one later where you have to find the blowtorch. That feels very like, oh, we just happened to find exactly what we need. Yeah. Here it makes sense. It's like, look, he wants a drink, you give him the drink, that just happens to get Kenny out of his seat for you to get the map.
Okay, so
I'm with you. That last part of the episode is a little weak. I think it's fine, but yeah.
So what's your
Mitch,
choice cut?
Mitch, I gotta be honest. I don't know why I suggested to do this one first. I don't think I have a choice cut. Every choice in this episode I felt very confident in.
Can I guess what your choice is? What your choice cut might be? If you don't know, I guess I can't guess right, but I'm guessing at what you would maybe do. Choosing whether or not you want to take Lily.
Yeah, because
that's my second choice for sure.
When I picked it, it did feel like the right thing to do. You know, obviously you're not coming with us, but you know, I don't necessarily think it's good that we have to leave her behind.
Yeah.
Like, it sucks. It sucks that you're put in this situation, but also, like, yeah, the first time I ever played this, I did say, all right, get in the van, we'll figure out what to do with you. But then every time after, it's like, yeah, what were you going to do with her? What were you thinking would happen?
That's good. Having the foresight of knowing that she steals the van that would impact my decision for sure. And I'm glad that it didn't impact my decision, because I think if I let it would feel less organic. But
I didn't even want to bring it up in the last episode. I was saying
good, yeah.
I'm usually on Kenny's side. I usually help kill Larry. I didn't even want to say that time because the reason why doesn't come up until now.
That is sort of a difficult thing to get through with this game of.
Yeah, it's like on repeat playthroughs, it's like, well, I know Lily's gonna fuck up and kill Carly and leave, so if I'm on her side at all, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I think when we covered season 1 of Sam & Max, we were talking about who Roy G. Biv was before we got to episode 6. So it just felt like, you know, like who cares? Who cares if we spoil who Roy G. Biv is? I really don't want to spoil this game ever.
Oh, definitely not.
Yeah.
I could spoil you if I wanted, but I don't. I would never in a million years.
Dustin, what a big man of you.
Yeah, you know, that's just the kind of guy I am.
But
that's why I forced Adam to play it, is because I would have felt awful if he had listened to these episodes. And, you know, he's listened to episodes before on games he hasn't played. I don't think he's played the other Sam & Max games, and he listened to those fine. I would have felt awful if he spoiled The Walking Dead Season 1.
Yeah, it's really surprisingly good. I'm
glad you're enjoying it so far.
Another good choice cut option, if you want this one, is high-fiving Duck.
No, that's not a hard choice.
I know it's not a hard choice, but it's a good choice. It's just.
Oh, okay. So I went in thinking choice cuts was like the choice you like, the hardest choice for you.
Oh, you can do that if you want, but I was thinking of it more like a choice cut is
your favorite,
just something you recognize as a very good choice.
Yeah. I guess I'll give it to high-fiving Duck. And I love that when you high-five Duck, it says in the top corner of the screen, Duck thinks you are incredibly awesome.
Yeah. And you can put that there, and it won't matter because you'll have to kill Duck.
Yeah, speaking of exactly that, that's one thing they do in this episode. There's a point where it says Carly will remember that, like if you like stick up for her to Lily, and then she dies like a minute later.
Yeah.
So it really fakes you out into thinking, oh no, Carly's gonna live through this. Oh no.
Yeah, it's a really. I think people meme on it because it's so easy to meme on this, like, character will remember that trope thing. But
I think it's good. I like that it like fools you.
It's clever.
Yeah. I like that it fools you in this one instance where it's like, oh, Carly will remember that. Just kidding. She died literally right after we said that.
Yeah, once we get around to Minecraft and like the characters don't matter, it'll probably feel a lot more make funnable. But right now it's a good design choice. Okay.
Agreed. So what is your golden moment of this episode?
Mine was this is again a strange choice for golden moment, because normally it's like I liked that a lot, but now I'm sort of just using it to spotlight very impactful, well done moments, and that was Lily killing Carly for me in this episode. I was really heartbroken about it.
Mitch, that's exactly mine too. It's just like the moment that it just sticks with you. That's the moment in the episode, and this episode has a lot of potential golden moments, but that's like, it's just so out of the blue, and it is what really makes the shit start hitting the fan. Well, I guess Duck being bitten is the first thing that happens, but this is the first time where you're like, holy shit.
Yeah, with just removing those two people, your group feels so much smaller too.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's because everyone else is like Clementine and Kenny's family. And so those are all people attached to... I guess Ben, too. I always forget about Ben.
Yeah, Ben's a freebie. You can forget about Ben, and he won't even be mad about it.
Yeah, he's like, oh, hey, I get it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish I had something different to say for a golden moment, but that just has to be it. But I'm also going to say the, hey, Ben, see you.
Yeah, that was great. Weekly Guy.
I got to give it to Duck this episode.
Huh. Well,
it was great having him be your sidekick, and then you high five him. It really made Duck stand out, and it's kind of a weird pick because after that he's just out. He's bit, and then he's sick, and then he dies, and that's it. But I feel like having him, because this is like the one time where Duck is involved in the story, really, other than the small parts in the first episode, but this is the first episode where Duck has like agency in what he's doing.
Yeah.
And I think he makes a great, strong impression. Even in the first episode, you're like, no, I didn't save Duck. Why would I save Duck? But in this episode, it's like, why would I ever not high five Duck?
Yeah. No, I felt the same way. Of course, you got to give him that high five. And even in real life, thinking about the characters, like, this is slowing me down. I don't necessarily want to do this high five little cutscene. Especially because I'm much more... Still, it takes forever to load scenes in this game on the Xbox One.
You were telling me last night, Mitch, I'm sorry you have to deal with these load times. I don't deal with them at all, but I'm sorry.
It's like, this game is single-handedly 30% of why I want to get an Xbox Series X. And I don't even know if it's faster on a Series X. I just hope, because
I guess they are, because I guess they are because I don't really feel the load times, but
well, it's also a different build of the game. That it might be different.
That's what I'm thinking. I wonder if the load times are just longer on this definitive edition of it, because I don't remember them being that long in the original versions. Oh, and by the way, speaking of the original versions for Xbox One, I loaded up the original version of Season 1. These remasters look so much better.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like, this was my first time booting up the original version of the Xbox One version since for like 5 years. And boy, it feels like it feels like the 360 version just ported over, and I'm sure that's what it is.
Well, yeah, it probably is what it is, because when this game came out, the Xbox One wasn't out yet.
Yeah, exactly. So they probably just, ported that exact game over to an Xbox One. But yeah, loading that one up again, I'm like, oh my god, I really appreciate how much better this remaster looks.
That kind of upsets me, because I want to know what it was like at the time, Yeah,
well, I mean, I played it at the time. At the time, I thought it was great. I'm just going back now, like, in retrospect, because I played it when it first came out, I played it on Steam, and then I liked it so much that I bought it for the 360, and then I bought it for the Xbox One.
Yeah, but like, because I don't have that connection, like, I feel like I'm missing out something for the podcast that we could talk about. I'm glad you're bringing it up. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just, like, it doesn't look bad, but it feels like a lot more telltale-y, for lack of a better word, when you play the original version.
Yeah, I bet the jump between Jurassic Park and it feels smaller than it actually did with us playing the remakes, but the original Jurassic Park.
Mm-hmm. So, I think overall, except for a couple things, I would say it's good to play these remasters over the original ones. I'll get more into some other differences in later episodes, but boy, I was a little amazed going back and comparing the visuals.
Yeah. Well, my weekly guy, I think, was Chuck.
Okay, I think Chuck's a very strong pick.
But I have
our weekly guys rhyme.
Maybe Lily.
You know what? I have it written down in my notes. Lily sucks ass. Like, Lily's awful. I think her actor, Nikki Rapp, she kills it as Lily. She does like an amazing performance. She sells her anger like very well. And that scene where she's breaking down crying, it's crazy.
Yeah, I don't want to disqualify her from Weekly Guy because I don't like
Just
her.
because
that's like what
she
villains
sucks,
are.
yeah.
If you're a good villain, you are that. And that's what I'm thinking of Lily the character right now.
Yeah, I think that's a totally legit choice.
But also a third contender for Weekly Guy is that Jonathan Blow silhouette that runs through the bushes in the preview for the next episode.
Oh man, you know what? No one else could have been a silhouette and ran away like him.
Just the way he's just like running through the episode is so funny.
Imagining him breathing really fast, like a little chipmunk.
Yeah. Well, that's the show.
Yeah. Oh, who's your weekly young guy?
Oh, it's like also Lily somehow. No, it's Krista. Krista is
okay
for reasons we were talking about before. Krista just like made me very frustrated, and like you're not being rational.
She's very cold.
She's very cold, but like it doesn't come off that way. It feels more like you have a vendetta, like a grudge, rather than just not trusting. Because if you're not trusting, you would also want to not talk to me very much. And you are going out of your way to talk to me.
Yeah. I feel like we might get into that more as the episodes go on. I feel like there's probably a reason for it, but we'll talk about it later.
Okay. Yeah. Well, with that in mind, Dustin, anything else you want to talk about with this show?
No.
I mean, game. I mean, you don't have to talk about the show. You can. You want to talk about the show?
If we did, I would have nothing to say. Oh, you know what's a scene we totally forgot to bring up? It's not like that important to the plot, but it's still a memorable scene. Is when he has a nightmare that Clem is a walker and attacks him in the RV.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's not a big part of the story, but it's still like, ugh.
He's kind of putting himself into Katya's shoes because Katya is probably expecting him to do that any moment.
Yeah, this could happen to Clementine at any sec. This is like a legit fear.
Mm-hmm.
It just happened to Duck right in front of Lee's eyes.
Oh, one thing I did want to bring up before we fully end it.
Okay.
I got an achievement for finishing the episodes. Every episode has its own achievement.
Yeah.
And in this definitive version, all the in-episode achievements are taken out. Mm-hmm. So it seems like it's just achievements for beating each episode. And I looked at the list of achievements to make sure that was the case. And I might have spoiled something for myself.
Oh, no.
And I wanted to talk to you about it on air, and we can decide whether or not we want to keep this in the episode. I think we will. Okay. I don't think it's that weird. I saw an achievement for finishing Season 1, Episode 6.
Oh, Episode 6. So they're talking about the bonus episode you get, 400 Days.
So is 400 Days? Okay. That makes sense.
It's like a DLC chapter. It's like a little bonus thing after.
Is 400 Days actually billed as Season 1, Episode 6? Or is that just like a weird achievement language thing?
I think it's just a weird achievement. They might have named it that after, like, for this collection.
Okay.
Because in its original release, you bought 400 Days separately, and it was its own thing.
Yeah, it was like the gap between Seasons 1 and 2, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
But even in the collection, we're playing two different collections, but even in mine, it just goes right into 400 Days after Episode 5.
Interesting. Okay.
So I wonder if in retrospect in these collections they just have it as part of Season 1, just have it be like the last episode of Season 1.
Is it shorter than a normal episode, or is it longer than a normal episode, or is it the same length as a normal episode? Those are the three options.
It's about the same. maybe a little shorter.
Okay.
You know what? I'm going to say it's shorter.
Okay.
It's shorter than, especially this episode, but this was a long episode.
Well, you know what? This is so silly. I was subconsciously thinking it's longer because I was thinking, 400 days? It's pretty long.
That sounds like a long episode.
Yeah, but then, stories don't have to be that way.
We're not going to be done with this episode for a year and a half.
We'll have to be doing this episode on the side of our other episodes.
We're now on episode 63 of 400 Days.
That was silly of me. I did. Okay, so that affects the podcast a little bit. Because we were going to move on to the next thing after we finish season 1 of Walking Dead. Should we include 400 days in that?
I'm going to say yes.
So we do 400 days right after episode 5.
Yeah, and then we can move on.
Okay, so we have 3 more episodes within the first season, in quotes, of Walking Dead before we do something else.
Yeah.
We all figured that out at the same time, listener. You and Dustin and I just now.
Let's all clap.
Twice.
Awesome. That's about the amount of claps it deserved.
Well, Dustin, I really liked this episode, other than, it sort of got a little slower near the end, and I hope that episode 4 doesn't continue that.
Yeah, it's a little long in the tooth. I totally agree. Like, it's not even something I ever thought about before this, but I do, now that you brought it up, I do agree with you. It feels a little bit of a hangnail on this episode. But that being said, I don't think it makes it bad or anything. Mm-hmm. Like, it's still fine. It's still, like, with characters you mostly like fine. It's still part of a good game overall. But yeah, I'm with you. We'll see how you feel about episode 4.
Yeah, so join us next time as we talk about episode 4, The Cold Refrigerator. And
ooh, I hope it's not too cold.
And until then, we'll see ya.
Stay frosty.